everybody, and welcome along to Watercolour Wednesday. Lots of interest in this one today, so let's see who's going to join me. Let me just get my screen set so I can see what's going on. How many have we got? Okay, 20 of you. Who's going to be first to say hello? So welcome along. This is the painting that we're going to be creating today. And the main tool that you need, the first person to comment is a spammer. Wonderful. Amit, your post is hidden, so just leave us alone. So we're doing this lovely loose floral scene, and one of the key products that you're going to need for this is your masking fluid, okay? So grab your masking fluid. Let me just scroll the screen down so I can see your lovely comments. Hey, there you all are. Hi CJ, Irene, Stephanie, Lisa, Wendy, Karen Rainbow. What a great name. Is that your real name? Donna, Tracy, fabulous to have you all. Hi Joy. I so loved your post this morning of your fishbowl. That was such fun to see your lovely cat trying to catch the fish. You are ticking. Ticking? Ticking? I don't get that, sorry. Hi Joanne, Dorothy, Kim. You haven't got masking fluid. Have you got a white crayon or an oil pastel? You can also use these as a barrier to retain the white. Yes, it is your real name. Fabulous. Friend and Rainbow. We've both got cool names. Hi Sandra, good to have you along. Okay, so this is the picture that we're doing, okay? This is the big A4 size, which I've got in a mount. My other half adores this painting, and I think this one's going to end up on our wall. I have got some more fish bowls coming. I took an order, a delivery in of 24 fish bowls, so they're not made yet, but I will be cracking making those. So if you want to order a fish bowl, pre-order, and then they're sent out once they're complete, okay? For those of you that are wondering what we're talking about, this is the fish bowl, okay? It's a water bowl with a 3-dimensional fish, which I paint in 5 layers. Afternoon, Leslie. Oh, how lovely. For Mother's Day, how wonderful. That's nice. So let's get started, shall we? So I've got my cold pressed watercolour paper taped down to the board, and I've pre-stretched it. That means I've taken my big brush like this. All the materials I'm using you can buy on my website as well, okay guys? So a large brush, fill it with water, tape your paper to the board and give it a good soaking of water and let it dry back. If you haven't done that already, grab a hairdryer and speed up the process. Hi Christine, Helen. Okay, so that's done. I'm not going to draw anything, okay? It's all freehand, and we're just going to have some fun layering waters. Now the 2 main colours that I used in this painting were carmine, which is a deep red, and Prussian blue. Or you could use, let me think, I want to say Oxford blue, but it's not Oxford blue. A greeny blue. Hi Lorna. And a little bit of green, which we'll mix up. But first of all, we need to put our masking fluid on. Again, I sell the De Laroni version on my website, so you can pick that up there. You can also buy it from me in pen form, like a marker pen. So you've got options. I'm going to use my blue one because it's better for the camera, so you can see what's going on. First tip of the day, guys, use an old tired brush, okay? Don't use your best brush, because look at this, it's all gummed up and it's a gum. It's sometimes it's called drawing gum. The Pebeo one that I'm using is drawing gum or masking fluid. And what we're going to do is paint it on and block out and retain the white flowers and any specks, any highlights that we want in our painting. Your paper must be dry, hi Marilyn, before you put this on. Okay, so I'm just going to dip into my masking fluid with my Tide pen and I'm going to paint on. Now you don't want this too thick, just choose white. I like having my big white flower in the centre of the painting or thereabouts, and just create some leaves freehand. Just go, it doesn't have to be this shape, you could do a daisy if you want to. And we're just going to paint some petals with the masking fluid. This is going to dry back and it's going to retain the white of our paper. Because remember, in watercolour, we shouldn't be using white, okay? We shouldn't be using white. White comes from the paper. So this will dry like rubber and you'll have great fun at the end peeling it off. I'm just going to have some little indications of smaller flowers here and there. You can see I'm not really thinking too hard about where I put them. I'm also going to draw a couple of little lines near where the stems will be. I'm going to try and get these quite fine for some highlights along the stem. And of course, where would we be without some splatters? So I'm going to take my brush, load it with masking fluid, and I just want some little dots floating around in the painting in the background. Okay, a few more little highlights here and there, maybe a little one, a little flower down here. Okay, I think that's enough flowers. Now, we've got to wait. We've got to wait and we've got to wait. I wish these spammers would go away because they're clogging up my comments. I don't know what they think they're trying to achieve. This is a free tutorial, so no one's going to go off to their silly spam websites and pay, are they? Okay, so as I said, if you haven't got masking fluid, you can use an oil this is an oil pastel, or you could use a wax crayon. And the only downside of using this instead of masking fluid is you're not going to be able to paint over it. You'll be left with the white, and because it's grease, it's got to resist. You can't put watercolour over the top, but you could just go down and mark your flowers white onto white with some oil pastel. And this is one I did earlier. Let me just show you. Remove some things out of the way. So whilst that's drying, if I take my oil pastel and just scribble down, and I use this when I do kids' classes. The good thing about it is you can go immediately. So you can paint, let's pick up some paint, over the top. And the oil in the pastel or your crayon will resist. And you'll get those gaps. Okay, so that's another option for you guys. Let me get rid of that, throw it on the floor. Brushes, so I'm using my own watercolours. These are my handmade watercolours. If you love these colours, you can't afford to buy a whole set because they are expensive, and because they're all totally high pigment handmade, you could buy the individual colours. So you can go on my website and buy the carmine and the Prussian blue. Okay, I'm going to grab the hairdryer and dry off the masking fluid. Here we go, block your ears. Sorry about that, guys, but it's a necessity. Okay, oops, it's lifted off my board. You just grab another bit of tape. Another reason for taping your paper down is what I did today was measured the mount that I intend to put this painting in, and I drew in pencil around the mount, and I like there to be a little white crisp border around the edge of the painting, so I knew where to put my masking tape. Little tip for you. Okay, grab a big brush and we're going to work wet into wet, so we're going to have some fun. Make sure your masking fluid is dry. It will still be shiny depending on the brand, but tap it and make sure it doesn't come off on your fingers. And we're going to wet all the paper nice and evenly. I'm using my big brush so I can cover this quickly. Side to side. Think about the edges of the paper, guys, because as your paper starts to dry, it always dries from the edges first, okay? So the corners, make sure you give it a nice coating. Now you don't want it too wet, not like soup. Just a nice glow all over the paper, thoroughly coated. I'm just going to grab a bit of tissue and I'm going to dry off my masking tape around those edges. There we go. Now whatever colours you choose, guys, you can go with any colours you like. I'm going to stick with what I did yesterday because I love the combination. I'm going to start with my Prussian blue. I've got my little mixing palette here. I sell those as well, by the way. Drop some water in there. Because there's a lot of water on the page, I want my pigment quite strong. In we go. Pick up some Prussian blue. And we're just going to place it where we want it. Just be free, be loose, don't overthink it. Remember your watercolour will dry back lighter. What I am focusing on, guys, is where the white flowers are, I want some dark colours near those. So just tapping around, leaving some white paper here and there. Okay, into the carmine. Fresh water. Remember, take your pigment quite strong. Watercolours dry back lighter. Carmine, for an alternative to carmine, you could use a crimson. You want a bluey red, beautiful, rich, gorgeous red. And in I go. Just going to drop this in. Going to get those edges done before they dry out on me. Just dance your brush around the page. Again, there's some areas of white that I'm going to leave. This is such a fun one to do. And I can't wait to see what colour combinations you guys use when you post your pictures up at the end. Okay, so nearly covered. Now I'm also going to use just my wet brush and add some water where the gaps are, just to thin out the paint so I get different shades of red. Just clean water, giving it somewhere to move. And I want some of these colours to bleed together, so I'm going to take some of my red, I'm going to drop it over the blue so I get nice purple tones. Encourage that paint to mix. Just pull in some of the red over the blue. Get some lovely purple shades coming through as well. Hi gal, good to have you along. So I'm just again going to wipe that paper, my masking tape, get rid of the paint that's on the masking tape to try and retain some crisp edges. Push that back down. Now, even though you've stretched your paper, you may see it start to buckle up, but it will shrink back down. Okay, now I'm going to move to my smaller brush, my size 12, and we're going to put some more stronger colours in to start creating some of the flowers. Now they're very loose. Some of these I want to bleed into the background. Some of the marks will bleed into the... Hi Caroline, nearly forgot. Tut tut tut. And then as the paper starts to dry back, I'll put in some more defined shapes. So I'm going to take my paint a bit creamier and stronger. It's like a 50-50 water paint, and I'm going to choose where I want my big flower to go. And watch what happens. Watch it bleed, because the paper's still wet, into the background. So drop your strong colours in. This is going to give us a sense of depth of the flowers. It's going to give us a nice soft look. So again, no drawing involved, just taking that colour and popping it where I want some nice leaves and petals. And I want these petals, particularly want these petals to bleed out into the wet on wet paper. Just pop them on. I'm going to have one right up the top corner. Just tapping down with my brush and then pulling it around. See where the water takes the shapes. And then decide if you want. I'm going to pop one at the bottom as well. A bit darker. Add a bit more mixed paint to your puddle. Let's have some right at the bottom, just creeping up into shot. Now you can see how this first flower has almost disappeared into the background. You got lost in your garden. Wow, you must have some garden. Okay. Now we need to wait a little while for the paper to start drying back so we get more control and the paint doesn't disperse as much. So these first marks I want to disperse. Look how they're disappearing into the background. So it's a bit of a waiting game, waiting for things to happen, waiting for colours to dry back. I'm going to pop a bit more blue down here whilst I'm waiting. A bit more Prussian blue. Oh, some news for you guys. I had my injection today. I had the AstraZeneca, which is in the news at the moment, which is a little bit worrying. Okay, I'm going to take some stronger blue now, and I want, as that colour dries back, you'll notice it gets lighter. I want some more pops of strong colour coming through, and I'm applying that whilst this is still damp, and I'm still getting some movement in the paper. I don't want it too light and wishy-washy. So I'm taking a bit more pigment into my puddle, just deciding where I want those colours. A bit down the bottom. Just be free and loose and enjoy the process. You had yours yesterday. You've had yours, Ruth. Wonderful. So I had it this morning. So my right arm, I had it in my right arm because I'm left-handed. And I'm hoping I can still teach tomorrow night, that I don't get any nasty side effects. But we will see. At the moment, I feel fine. Okay, I'm still waiting for that to dry a bit more. Whilst that's happening, I'm going to pick up some more carmine and make my puddle creamier. Okay, so your consistency as you add more pigment should become like milk. Okay, a bit more milky. I'm going to see how much it's going to spread. Just touch down and watch. And get used to how dry the paper is and how much bleeding is still happening. I'm going to paint a few more details and watch what happens. And we're going to be creating layers. So we're going to add some more as we go. It's a bit more carmine over here. Building the strength of colour. Just creating some petal shapes, very loose. Don't overthink it. Pop that lovely, strong, rich red down. And you can see these are still bleeding out. Okay, I'm going to add a little closed bud somewhere. Let's have one here. A bit more paint, nice and strong. Just create a little closed bud over there. Okay, I'm going to grab my hairdryer again now, just to speed up the process. What was that? Let me just read your comments. You got mine this afternoon? Yes, let's hope. Fingers crossed, Lisa. A month ago, a bit grotty. Next day, but absolutely fine. Oh, good. Good, good, good. 600 people today, my local surgery. They're hoping to inject. So I'm going to give that a dry off. I don't want it bone dry. I just want it a bit drier than I had it. Into my red again, getting creamier still. Now I want a bit more definition on certain sides of the flowers. So coming in on my tip of my brush. A bit more carmine. So hopefully this isn't going to bleed as much now. Just needs a bit more drying time. I'll just give it another blast with a hairdryer. Another quick blast. Okay, let's go again. Carmine. Coming in and creating a more defined shape, some odd petals coming off the angles. I'm going to use the tip of my brush to come out and create the edge of the flower. Layer in, and the colours are getting stronger. You will notice that they're not spreading now. If you've dried your paper off, they'll stay where you put them. Building that colour, the depth, the richness, so your paints need to be nice and creamy. I'm going to come into the bottom of this flower. Some nice strong pigment down. I'm tapping down to get a nice puddle of strong paint. And then I'm going to work from that, spread it, create some fine petals. I have one coming out of the side. And down the bottom. So just deciding as I go where I want to put this. And certain areas of the flower I'm leaving blurred. Can you see? You had the Pfizer. No side effects at all. Yeah, we were a bit worried, to be honest. We were debating, because my partner had it done as well today, after me, what to do with the news. But you know what? What's the alternative? Wait and wait to get the Pfizer, or just hope that you're healthy enough? I think some of it's scaremongering. So there we go. Just popping a few more stronger flowers in. Okay, I'm going to mix up some green now for a bit of difference. So I'm going to take my ultramarine blue, pop it in the well. I could use the green that comes in my set, the oxide green, but I want something darker. So I'm going to go ultramarine blue and mix my own green. I've drowned my fish. Come into my lemon yellow. And just drop a little bit of lemon yellow into the mix. I want it stronger. A bit more blue. Creamier for stronger. Okay. So don't add more water to your brush as you're cleaning it between your pans. Wipe your brush off, or your tubes. I'm going to take a little bit of golden ochre in there as well. Okay, I'm just going to come from the bottom, a nice wet brush, up on the tip, and just bring some leaves, just general patterns right on the tip of the brush. Bring some leaves through. I'm not thinking about stems to particular plants at the moment. Just random grasses, all coming up from the bottom. We left Europe and the vaccine's English. Wonderful. Love it. Okay, I'm changing my green slightly. I'm getting one a bit greener, just so I get some variation in these leaves. It's more spruce. Just have fun with it, guys. Really light touch. Tiggle in the paper. Remember the trick I taught you a few weeks ago? If you're nervous, you could use the end of your brush, or, let me find it, a bamboo stick, and dip your stick in, or a cocktail stick, and just drag so you'll get a really fine line. Okay. Now some of this green I want to blend into the background, so I'm going to wet over the top and soften it back. Just make it a bit more blurry, just choosing a few of those blades of grass and just wetting clean water over the top. Just to give a hint of green at the bottom, softening those marks. Okay, now I'm going to mix a really dark colour. So I'm going to use my Payne's Grey. If you haven't got Payne's Grey, I'm going to go into that blue with my Payne's Grey, my friend's grey. It's my grey, but if you haven't got my Payne's, it'll be Payne's Grey. You can use ultramarine blue and burnt sienna to make your own. And I'm going to add a little bit of green to that. I want a really dark green. I'm going to come into the bottom of my flowers whilst they're still wet and just tap the part where the flower's attached to the stem over the red and let it just bleed gently into the red. It's not super wet right now. It's drying back at the base of your flowers. My little bud there. And now you could use a rigger brush, guys, if you're not confident. Remember, you get a rigger brush in my set. Let me see if I can find mine. Here we are. So you could use your rigger brush, pick up your green, come into that stem, and now we're going to connect the flower and pull down. Connect the flower, pull down, leave gaps if it's going behind another flower. Nice strong dark green, so these are going to come into the foreground. Don't forget your white flowers. So you can see when you put a stronger green on, the lighter greens move into the background and the stronger greens come forwards. Add a few more leaves coming off those stems. Building up our layers, I'm going to take some more stronger green to the bottom as well. Fabulous. Okay, back to the flowers. I want some darker colours, so I'm going to take my Prussian blue into my carmine. Prussian blue, so we get a really rich purple. Keep it nice and creamy. Touch more carmine. Beautiful dark colour. I'm going to go back into my flowers, they're still wet, and just stroke, add some darker saturated purples into the leaves. It can be hard to stay loose, but try it. Don't overthink what you're doing. Okay, I'm going to take some up the other side. Love this. I love this style of painting. Okay. Now, if your flowers look too hard, I'm loving this one. Is exactly how I want it. I've got a sharp edge this side and it's blurring out there. If your flower isn't blurring out because your paper dried, you can just come along the edge with a clean brush with a bit of water and agitate it, add some water down and encourage a bit more bleeding to happen. Touch more carmine there. Okay, I want a few more spikes to my flowers. So coming into my neat carmine now, Just add in a little bit more detail where I want it. Just having fun. They look like poppies today. They didn't yesterday, but they definitely got a poppy look about them, haven't they? Okay. So now I'm going to remove the masking fluid. So you need to dry it absolutely completely. Can you see here where I use the wax crayon, the oil pastel, that flower has resisted, and here. Okay, let's give it a try, guys. Here we go. Sorry about the noise, guys. Gal, you had the Pfizer no effects. Downside, apparently it doesn't work on fat people. Ah, brilliant. So can you see in the background how leaving the paper white in places and just adding water to blend the colours gives you this mottled background? You're getting different strengths of colour. Okay, now's the time, the fun bit, to remove the masking fluid. Now I just use my finger. Some people use a putty eraser and just wipe off, but it needs to be dry. Just rub it and it'll peel off, revealing our crispy white flowers, hopefully, underneath. Now I have had people say to me, theirs hasn't worked. I don't know. I think maybe if you've had your masking fluid for a long time, just check it. I'm not aware of any shelf life issues. Just rubbing that off, finding all those, look how that pops out, how the white from the flowers just grabs your eye. Just stroke it. If it's tearing, your paper's not dry enough, okay? So make sure it's dry into the big one here in the middle. The other alternative, of course, is to paint around your flower shapes. If you don't have a crayon, you don't have an oil pastel, you don't have masking fluid. But for something that's fine like this, it's quite difficult. And it kind of stops your freedom. You better put the Kit Kat away. I've got a little white flower there. Look at that. That one there, I love that one. Love it, where it's poking out behind the red flower. And I've got a couple of those dots, white dots, in front of that red flower. I love it. And it wasn't planned. There was no plan. Other than the colours, that was my plan. I would have liked a few more white dots. I like the white dots. Okay. So you could leave it like that, but they do look very stark. So what I'm going to do is take a clean brush, and I'm just going to use, to start with, the paint that's already on the paper. So I want to push some of these white petals back a bit. So I'm going to wet that blue in the background and drag it forward. Just a wet brush, reactivating the paint. I keep going very high pitch today. Maybe it's the effect of the injection. Just reactivating and giving it a little light colour over some of the petals. Leaving some nice and crisp and white. And I'm also going to go back into my Prussian blue. Gosh, what is that blue? Why is my brain not working? I'm going to water this blue down so it's nice and pale and runny. And you could just drop a little bit of blue here and there into your little flowers. Just make sure if you're going to add colour that, remember, you wet all around it so it's got somewhere to run off to. Now there's a couple of areas that I want to take darker, so let me show you. Prussian blue, creamy, 50-50. I want some darker areas. I'm going to come under this flower. Okay, because my background's dried lighter than I wanted it. So take some stronger colour, and again, remember what Eunice says, take a wet brush, creep up on that paint so it's got somewhere to bleed into, so you don't have a hard line. So you can still adjust that background. I want a few more darks. Where else do I want? Let's go the other side of that flower with my Prussian blue again. Tap it down so you get a nice strong puddle. Stop, clean water, and creep up on it. Creep up on it, surprise it, bring the water to the paint so it's got somewhere to bleed out into. And just make sure you do that wherever you're putting that fresh paint. That's better. Oh, I'm liking it. Okay, the pink's in the background as well. I'm going to do it there. Why not? Let's add a bit more strength of pink. Where shall I go? Under here. Bit stronger pink under there. And let's add some blue over the top of it as well. Let's make that purple. Your flowers, of course, need to be dry for this bit. Oh, CJ, you must have a go at loose. It is, you just have to let things happen. Just go with it. Look at that, just adding a few pockets of darker colours. So all I'm doing is mixing my blue and my red together, adding a bit more purple here and there. Pop that colour down where you want it. Get your clean water, come up underneath and allow it to spread. It's as simple as that. Now, if you want to, you could add some green areas. I'm going to take some of my golden ochre into my green mixture here. I'm going to pop a few more subtle greens in the background, here and there. And again, I want them to bleed back. So I'm going to add that clean water around the edge. Just that hint of green back there. I think that works really well. So now it's just about tweaking. I'm going to add a bit more of a bud under my flower. Darker. There we go. And maybe take it even darker in the flower if you want to. A bit more carmine in there. Beautiful. How long have we been going? 40 minutes, guys. 40 minutes. Yours is blobs. Oh, Karen. Karen Rainbow. It should be a rainbow. Okay. Maybe your paper wasn't wet enough. Did you leave some white paper between your blobs? And then remember, go in with your brush loaded with water and encourage those blobs to mix and soften. I mean, that just looks like a beautiful sky. I do like yesterday's one. It was a bit darker, but this one, I'll see if my other half likes it and see which one we're going to end up putting on the wall or maybe putting up for sale. Just adding a bit more darks here and there. Okay, final bit then, guys. My favourite bit of the day. And I'm going to take the rest of the day off today, so I've got strength for tomorrow. Oh, thank you, Rosemary. I'm glad you like it. So I'm mixing some more carmine, loading my brush. You know what's coming. I'm going to hold my brush horizontally above the paper, and I want some little splatters, tiny little indications of things blowing in the breeze. I'm taking the carmine red. I'm just going to give it a gentle tap. Splatter. Little marks down. Now I've got some wet areas of the paper because I added some colour. So what you'll see is my blobs are, I like that word, I'm going to use that. My blobs have expanded where they've hit the wet paper. If you don't want that to happen, dry your paper first. I'm just going to dry this now very quickly. Okay, I'm going to splatter again. I'm going to do some green as well. Let's put some green blobs in. Now, what would look really nice? Bright green. A few green. How you can finish this? I've just gone on the hunt, guys. I'll be back. This is something that I don't use very often. It's white gouache, okay? It's an opaque white. Just pop a little bit in my mixing palette. Now, whatever you do, do not mix your white with your colours. Otherwise, instead of translucent, they're going to end up opaque. And the whole joy of this is that they're translucent. Oh, have a go, Joy. Okay, so I want some white dots as well. You could use ink, or you could use gouache, or you could use acrylic paint. I didn't clean my brush out very well. So I'm just getting a nice creamy white. Wet enough so that it will splatter. And do some white splatters. Okay, just a few. White. I didn't do that yesterday. There we go. Not sure that's going to show up so well on camera, but just some little tiny seeds blowing on the breeze. And of course, there we go. So remember, guys, you can buy your products from me, support a small business. Thank you, Martina. Thanks, Linda. So that's the brush set. It comes with a half rigger. I think it's £6.90 for 7 brushes. There's your big wash brush, a couple of pounds. Masking fluid. You've got my handmade paints, which you can buy as a set or individually priced. Or you can buy the Artway watercolour set, which again had some great colours, 14 colours. Depends where you are on your painting journey. You'll get a much stronger colour from these and they'll last longer. You need more of these, okay? But they're still good quality. I will continue to sell those. And of course, let's see what's happened. Remember, when you're tearing your masking paper off, be careful. If it's sticky, if you feel it tearing, heat it up with a hairdryer and it will melt the glue. Now, this masking tape is low tack. I will be popping it on my website soon. Oh, look at that. Just look at that. Oh, this is such fun. Look at those crisp, beautiful edges. Isn't that glorious? Don't you just love peeling your tape off? Remember, masking fluid, use an old brush because your brush will get ruined. And last thing, guys, if you're interested in what's coming up in watercolours, this Thursday, tomorrow, all being well, we'll be doing the Blue Macaw. All my lessons for watercolour are £10 and they start at 6:30 every Thursday. So this week we have the Blue Macaw. Next week we have the Tree Frog. Then we have the monkey, a little bit more detail in the monkey. We'll be using watercolours in a slightly different way. So this is very loose. This is a bit tighter. Then we have the spring birch trees. Wonderful. Really, if you like this, you'll love that. And then we've got something a bit different. We have colour pencils and watercolour together for the seahorse class. Okay, so check those out. pop over to my website, it's on the bottom of the screen, and take a look. And here we go, our finished painting, ready to pop in a frame. Please, please share a map. You use a mapping tool. That's a good idea. A mapping tool for the masking fluid, or a dip pen. So you could use a bamboo dip pen or an ink dip pen, you know, metal dip pen. I'm just looking for mine to apply the masking fluid, or a bit of stick. Good advice there, Carol. So thank you, everybody. As I say, I'm going to take the rest of the day off, put my feet up for a change, and I will see you next Thursday if I don't see you before. Have a wonderful day. The sun is shining. Paint your flowers and share them with everybody in the comments. I love to see them. Thanks, everybody. Take care. See you next week. Bye. See you. Bye. You've booked the frog and the monkey. I will be adding a reference picture before the class. Don't worry, you always get sent that the day before. Thanks, Wendy. Danny, thank you. I'm sure I will feel okay. I'm sure. All will be good. Bye, guys. Thank you so much. Bye.